How's it going, all you amazing Mets fans? It's your guy Wardy, and we're back at it with the latest New York Metropolitan postgame segment as the Metsies take down the Boston Red Sox by a final score of 8-3. They got themselves their second consecutive series sweep, and I want to see those W's spam the live show right here, right now. How's it going, everybody? We're back at it, presented by BetUS, America's #1 sportsbook. Make sure to check them out today for all your sports betting needs by clicking that link down below in the description. That way you too get a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. And folks, I am absolutely loving what's going on in Metsland right now. How are you not juiced up with the boys? If you're chopping it live and on replay, make sure you spam those W's in the show right now, everybody. We're going to have ourselves a banner of our latest Metropolitan post-game segment here, the #1 show on YouTube, on X, wherever you get your audio podcasts, Spotify, Google, Apple, you name it. Make sure to leave and rate a 5-star review if you found yourself enjoying the content. We got ourselves a massive series sweep to break down. Jesse Winker with another Jesse Winker bomb, this time a grand salami, scoring 5 runs in the 8th inning, all basically via walks. Dick Mountain doing the Mets favors, if you know, you know. Pete Alonso had a really bad day at the plate, but that didn't matter. The Mets pitching stays superb. Their bullpen did something that they haven't done since the first time since 1966. Yes, you heard that correctly. We are going to break down at great length everything, our key takeaways on this, and we have a lot to get into on the big Mets updates with their assistant GM, as there's updates on that front, along with Tyler McGill, Kodai Senga, very positive news there. Huascar Brosman, Blackburn, among others. And Brazo was fantastic, too. Zach, thank you so much for the $2 greatly appreciate that. Miguel is tipping his pitches. Not exactly sure about that one, but what I am sure of right now is that the Mets have won 7 straight games, tying the season high. A Mets team that at the end of May was 11 games below 500 are now 12 games above 500. It has been a wild ride for the Metsies this season, but we have been a part of it for every single second, folks. So we're going to deep dive all the key takeaways on this one, as sadly the Mets are still going to stay a half game out of a playoff spot because the Atlanta Braves beat the Colorado Rockies tonight, but I don't care. I'm so confident in this Mets team right now. I have the utmost confidence that they're going to find themselves in one of those spots inevitably, just a matter of time. Will it be them leapfrogging just the Braves, or could they catch even the Arizona Diamondbacks and possibly the Padres? We're not just talking about the Mets trying to secure 87 wins this season, which was the ideal number to make playoffs. Now we're looking at potentially 90, and that isn't out of the realm of possibility. The Mets need to go 500 the rest of the season to get to the 87 win plateau. How can we view this as anything other than to believe that the Mets season we still have yet to see the best from the boys here, which is insane to say. Playoff baseball every single day. You got your 7 games against the Phillies coming up. You got your 3 against Atlanta and your 3 against the Brewers to wrap up the season. A lot to get into before the season wraps up, but in the interim, Francisco MVP Lindor and this Metropolitan team are winning ball games consistently and are getting off to the best start possible. Not only the month of September, but this entire ride as a whole for the Mets as of late has been tremendous. We're going to deep dive a little bit on the pitching end too. Tyler McGill, what didn't work for him today, and what his future could be in the organization, if at all. And then the bullpen, you saw it. Alex Young, Huascar Brosman, Denny Young, Phil Maton, Edwin Diaz shutting down the door. The Mets threw out 5 relievers in this one, and it wasn't a problem. No, do I love the idea of them going in for 1 game because you had a short start from Tyler? No, but the Mets got an off day tomorrow, so I really don't care either. Yes, we're riding high Mets land, everybody. And on the heading net, we're going to deep dive all the key takeaways on that front, what I like so much from Jesse Winker's grand salami heroics, and everyone their mother getting themselves a run scored via a walk there in the 8th inning. Folks, we have a lot of deep dive in this one, as we always do, but before we get into anything else, let's let it rip with the official, the one, the only, you know it, baby, drum roll please, WardyNYM post-game jingle. Shout out to my guys Greg and Jordan with the official WardyNYM post-game jingle. And as my guy Scott in the chat says, yeah, we saw Edwin not only touch 100 tonight, but I'm pretty sure he touched at least 100.5 or 100.6 there on the gun. He was absolutely throwing gas. That Red Sox lineup there to end the ball game stood no chance for the 2 strikeouts. A clean inning of work for Edwin Sugar Diaz, who continues to gain confidence by the day. Edwin, who thought he was going to come in a tight 1-run ball game situation in the ninth, instead gets a nice 5-run cushion, and with that cushion does not mess around whatsoever. Yes, he allows the first runner to get on base, but he shuts down the door from there. He gets them out comfortably, and the Mets win this one by a final score of 8-3. Spam those brooms, everybody. I want to see it all in here right now. Woody plays a song but dances to his own beat in his head. Absolutely. Not actually true. Well, yes, that's true to a degree because I don't actively hear the song when I play to you guys. I run it in my head the entire time to a T. The whole thing. Love Greg, love Jordan, love the jingle that we got going here on the channel, everybody. The same way I love each and every one of you, as we're going to break down at great length what we love so much in this matchup, everybody. Can we just all just marinate and just let this soak in for a second? The Mets, who were 11 games below 500 this season, who we have covered to an absolute T every single game this season, quite literally, now find themselves 12 games above 500. I don't care that they're not in a playoff spot yet. That is going to inevitably come at this current rate. Yes, the Chicago Cubs just had a combined no-hitter. Congratulations to Shota Imanaga and all of them. I don't care. I'm locked in on my Mets right now, baby, and they are doing everything in their power to make sure that they get where they want to be this season. For anyone that said the Mets couldn't do it, that they couldn't get their head out of there, you know what, after being down 11 games below 500, I got a bridge to sell you, baby. Francisco MVP Lindor continues the hit streak, continues the on-base streak, and the reality of Francisco Lindor literally winning the MVP candidacy becomes greater by the day the more this Mets team wins and the more they inch closer to postseason play. As Ron Darling of SNY said greatly today, not just of SNY, we all love Ron. Mets great that we know, amazing pitcher, but he said it best on the broadcast. He believes that if the Mets make playoffs, Francisco Lindor will win MVP, but it's going to take the Mets making playoffs for that to happen, knowing the narrative, knowing you're going up against a potential 50-50 in Shohei Ohtani, which is a very tough task. I will say I love Shohei, no ill will with him for the most part, but I don't want him to win MVP for a standalone DH that provides no defense when Lindor is having the most strenuous position, not named center field every single day out there, and is playing the most elite defense on the 99th percentile and outs above average. Seriously. AJ, thank you so much for the $5 when Brosman came in, I was ready to throw in the towel. Glad he shut me up. Got to give him props to the bullpen tonight. Absolutely, the bullpen is a heavy emphasis tonight, everybody. That's the big takeaway in this one. Everyone that was telling me, Wardy, how dare you think Jesse Winker is anything more than Tyler Naquin? How dare you think Huascar Brosman is anything better than I don't know what we got in recent years, whether it's going to be, I don't even want to say Tommy Hunter, because Tommy did have his slivers of brilliance with the Mets. But let's talk about Trevor Gott from last year, right? That's the equivalent. Not the case. Huascar Brosman with 1.1 beautiful innings that we saw. A huge double play ball. Just one of 3 on the day, which was massive by this Mets bullpen that we're going to get into in just a second. But it was also Jesse Winker. Jesse now at over 800 OPS. Mind you, Jesse Winker a week ago had a 700 OPS with the Mets this season. Now he's up to right around 820. He's batting right around 300 or close to. Jesse Winker with the Oppo Grand Salami heroics put the foot down right in the beginning, and thankfully, this Mets team never found itself looking back. All right, guys, let's break it down. Let's rapid fire this one, because I'm just the hell up. The Mets are 7 games on a heater right now. 12 games above 500. This is the best baseball I've seen from this Mets team since literally, I want to say what? Early August of 2022, I have not seen the Mets sniff any remotely close baseball of this in pretty much 2 years. That's how long it's been. And that's why I'm pumped up. That's why I'm juiced up. And that's why I'm not a fair weather fan that's out here, not caring all that much. Because, we're not in playoffs yet. It doesn't matter. Can you read the room? Can you see the momentum? We all see it with our very eyes. This Mets team is so locked in right now, and they didn't even utilize JD Martinez once in this series as he was out on the paternity list, which is perfectly fine. Shout out to you, JDM. He got himself a nice 4-day break with the off day tomorrow. Being a first-time dad, I know that feeling very well. Wishing you the best to you and your family, JD, against this former team that we didn't even need him. It didn't matter. Jesse Winker did everything we need today. The Boston Red Sox took a page out of the Mets playbook today, The Mets, who still have the highest walk rate in all the National League at 3.7 walks per nine this season. You might as well have thought it was the Boston Red Sox if they were in the National League, because the Red Sox were walking everyone their mother. The Mets command the zone, and as the Mets typically do, outside the Grand Slam, because I can't be a hypocrite here and say, oh, they never hit with runners in scoring position, bases loaded, because they do. They prove that tonight. But also, how many times have we seen, not only this season, but in years past? And I know, Ken, I'm clearly not showing any emotion here. I mean, my goodness, my God, my gracious, right? Love you, brother. Happy to have you in here. Appreciate all you guys chiming in live on a replay. To all my amazing live members here, thank you all so much for being here. To my new subscribers and reoccurring subscribers, you guys are the best too. Over 1,000 concurrent heroes who break down the latest victory in Mets land as they take this one by a final score of 8-3. And to expand on it a little bit more, this is a Mets team, as I've been alluding to. I already lost my train of thought from the previous thing. I'm rambling here, I know, but I'm juiced up. This Mets team is locked in right now, simply put. We're ecstatic, we're excited, and I'm excited to see more of what this lineup and what this overall collective group is going to do from now until the end of the season. Now, I want to get into some key notes here that we will before we end the live show, and then I may cut it out as a separate segment that will be posted tomorrow morning on the YouTube channel only. For my viewers on X, make sure you hop over to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. That way you can get yourself involved in the post-game chat here for our live viewers and get involved with the content that we have that will be separate from the live show later on, as you guys tend to like it with the algorithm, how I've been doing it lately, so I'm going to continue to do it that way. Mike with a $5, really appreciate that. If you need to get your daily steps in, just hit the Red Sox bullpen. Holy moly. I mean, seriously. Walk, 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 walk. Okay, Dave, thank you so much for the $5 holla. Ken, I know, that's why I love you. Wardy, did you bet the White Sox beat Orioles 8-1? I did not, and shame on me. I didn't bet the O's tonight, though, and I'm a big O's guy. You know how much I love the Baltimore Orioles this season. Glad I didn't touch anything about that game. White Sox snapped their losing skid. Congratulations. All they need to do was stop playing the Mets, clearly, and they would be fine. D-Mac with the $5 holla goes to Billy Buckner in the house. The Red Sox suck even more than Yankees, LOL. Appreciate the donation. Billy Buckner, we love him. We wish him well. Obviously, Billy, who passed away a number of years ago now, built a great relationship with Mookie Wilson. And after the famous, gets through Buckner and the Mets win it there in 1986, I have a dual-signed jersey with both those players on the back of it. An amazing jersey sent to me from an amazing Mets fan who's no longer with us, sadly. Same thing as Buckner. But before Bill, especially in the many years before Bill passed, he really honed into appreciating Mets fans the way that Mets fans appreciate him. And it was kind of a bittersweet thing at the end of the ordeal with something where you had an entire team and entire fan base go after Bill as hard as the Red Sox fans did in 1986. No less, speaking of 1986, what was the commonality from that to now? The Mets got the job done against the Boston Red Sox, simply put. It wasn't as flashy as 1986. It wasn't nearly as entertaining, but there is this one consistent common thought and common reality here. They secured the victories. They secured the series victory one, and they secured the series sweep. The Mets not only found themselves in a situation winning 7 straight games, but to do that with the back-to-back sweeps is absolutely massive. This is a Mets team that has not swept all that many teams this year, so to do that against the lesser team, the White Sox, what you're expecting to do is huge. And then you add in a Red Sox team that, yes, they have been free-falling as of late. Yes, you're helping put the nails in their coffin for their playoff hopes this year. And yes, these are all true things, but it's also true that no matter who the Mets are playing, they cannot stop winning right now. And we look at that 7-3 road trip. We look at the 9-4 stretch if you begin the Baltimore Orioles series. We look at what they have done since then. The Mets have been on an absolute heater, and all I have to say is that each and every one of you appreciate this for what it is. We don't know how long the heater is going to go on. We don't know if the Mets are going to cool off at any point in the near future. These things happen when you're facing greater competition, the Phillies, the Braves, the Brewers, among others. But in the interim, please appreciate this for what it is, because it has been a roller coaster of a season, but one that we're currently on an absolute high right now, rightfully so, everybody. Now, let's get into breaking down this ball game, any by any. We got over 500 concurrent viewers on YouTube. Thank you, all you amazing Mets fans. If half you guys could smash a like for me, it'd be greatly appreciated if we could get to 250, 300 by the end of the live show. Thank you all so much in advance, but let's rapid fire this one, everybody, because we saw it together. Tyler McGill got the start in this matchup against Tanner Houck, and I'll be the first to say I thought Houck was going to carve up this Mets team a little bit. Tanner Houck is absolutely fantastic. In a lot of ways, he's a right-handed throwing Chris Sale, his former teammate during their time in Boston. And funny enough, Sean Manaea, who's really adopted a bit of his game, modeling his changeup a bit like Chris Sale's, and now his changeup in his arm slot has been huge to his success. Tanner Houck, if you see him side by side with Chris Sale, they're literally so similar, it's not even funny. Houck got roughed up early, he struck out 6 straight, and then the Mets still took care of business in the matchup, and simply put, Tyler McGill, who made his likely final start with the Mets before the Mets are either going to send him down or potentially consider him in the bullpen. Yes, you heard that correctly. I will expand on that more later in the show, and that'll be posted as a separate video earlier tomorrow, more than likely. But with Tyler McGill having a 1-2-3 first inning, it's a nice, comfortable start for the Mets. And what does Francisco, Mr. Smile, do? He does what he's been doing all season long. The same guy that's been leading the way in F4 right now in all the National League, and has been leading it by quite a large margin since batting leadoff. And just for some context on how impactful Francisco Lindor has been, everybody, throughout the stretch of Francisco Lindor playing his best baseball this season, the Mets have pretty much had the best record in Major League Baseball, right up there with the Arizona Diamondbacks at right around 20 games above 500 throughout this entire span, going back towards the middle to the end of May. Insane stuff, how good Francisco Lindor has been, and he continues that with a leadoff single that we saw there in the bottom of the first inning. That would give him now a season high that we are seeing, and a MLB leading right now 33rd straight game getting on base, and a 15-game hitting streak, which has now tied his season high. Francisco, Mr. Smile, Lindor, what hasn't he done for this Mets team? The only thing he hasn't done is he didn't perform for the Mets in the first month and a half of the season. That's the only thing he hasn't done. He has pretty much done every single thing since then. And thank you guys so much for the donations earlier. I appreciate you guys immensely. Thank you, Mike. I want to make sure I got to them. Let's see there. And I did address that already. Cool. Thank you guys for that. So we see a quick inning of work there for Tyler McGill. Then we get Lindor on. Nimmo gets on with a walk. Vientos gets on with a single. We're in bases loaded right at the beginning of the ball game. By a show of hands to my live viewers and my replay viewers down below, how many of you thought the Mets were going to get out of this bases loaded situation by scoring no more than a run? Because as much as I've been confident in this Mets team, to see how much they would pounce against Houck would be vital. First, it starts with a bad strikeout by Pete Alonso against Houck. Alonso, who struck out right around 3 times today, snapped his bat on his knee after striking out a multiple on there in the 8th inning and less than 2 out. I don't blame him for the frustration. A really bad day at the plate for Pete Alonso, but far from a bad day at the plate for the man next up after him, and Jesse Winker. Jesse, looking for the heroics, does exactly that again with an opposite field grand slam. Guys, I jumped so far out of my seat, I cannot begin to tell you. You got the puberty voice cracks like I'm right back in 7th, 8th grade again. Like, we're going through this thing like no tomorrow. That's just what we're doing, because I was losing my effing mind seeing Jesse and Winker continue to be the hero that we saw, the walk-off heroics against the Baltimore Orioles, slamming that helmet on the ground. Now to see this amazing grand slam to kick off the ball game, you get a nice 4-run cushion for a Tyler McGill start. Am I dreaming? Is this real? It's got a thing. It barely is, and rightfully so. Christ is king, baby. And I'm not just saying that for the sake of the conversation right now. He always is. The same way the Mets were king in this series sweep of a victory here. And sure enough, with the 2.5 has this to say. Shout out to the Boston bullpen. Start the buses, baby. Shout out to the bullpen indeed. Thank you for the donation. Daniel Cap says Wardy Lindor also has at least 1 inning in 32 out of his last 34 games. What? Holy guacamole, this guy's on fire. And here I thought I had all the stats. All we need is Daniel Cap's great member in the live show to break down exactly that. Let's see. Dave, again, it crossed your mind. It crossed most of our minds, right? Who expected a grand slam in that spot? I guess a very overly optimistic Mets fan, which should be many of you right now, given their latest heater 7-game win streak. Mets take a 4-0 lead that we see there. We skipped the second inning because nothing happened for either side for the most part. I think at most, Tristan Casas got on with a walk and McGill got out of that jam. And the third, though, speaking about getting out of jams, something Tyler McGill could not do unscathed, however. We would see Valdez get on with a single. Then we see Sogard get on with a single. Then Jarren Duran drives in the first run of the ball game for the Boston Red Sox with an RBI double. Rafi Devers then with an RBI sac fly that we see thereafter, and an RBI sac fly for Abreu. So even though there wasn't a lot of hitting done by this Red Sox team outside of Jarren Duran, absolutely looking fantastic this series like he has all year long, the Mets find themselves in a one-run ball game, a very nonsensical one-run ball game. You get a 4-run cushion early, and the one day you do is when your starter sadly does not have it early for you. Tyler, as we know, this is his likely final start in the rotation, barring changes, and we will expand on that later on the show here. But then as we got to the 5th inning, Tyler McGill's day was done. He allowed a runner to get on. Mendy was like, that's it. And I think in part, it's not only because you don't have an overwhelming amount of faith right now in McGill for understandable reasons. That's why the Mets haven't consistently had him at the major league level this season. But when you now bring in Alex Young, who the Mets called up in this situation, and you pull McGill on 68 pitches, I think both things can be true. One, Mendy did this knowing that you want to make sure that he didn't implode and you stay in front, hopefully stay with the lead here in a tight one-run ball game. And two, at 68 pitches, Tyler McGill is an arm that can be utilized out of the bullpen for the Mets when Paul Blackburn returns from injury in the coming days. And that's what we're going to expand on in a little bit, because I'm really curious what your thoughts are on that, everybody. But no less, McGill exits the ball game. Alex Young comes in, and Alex Young is able to escape the jam. He escapes it after allowing a runner get on base himself. 2 on, 2 out. He gets that out and not a problem, and he gets the final couple outs that we saw via the huge double play turn. And this would be something you see a lot of in the next couple innings. My guy Huascar Brosban coming in for Alex Young after Young allows the leadoff batter to get on. And what does Brosban do? Walk the next batter he sees and still gets it any double play to escape the jam unscathed. Are you kidding me? Absolutely hype me up, Huascar Brosban, you absolute beauty. This is a guy that was already sent down by the Mets over the past couple weeks, brought back up shortly after, with the Mets having to make a decision for Paul Blackburn in the coming days, a guy that was initially considered as Huascar Brosban being that corresponding move. I'm inclined to believe that will not be the case after a strong outing in a leverage situation where he knew the pressure was on, and he knew if he did not perform here, the Mets would be quick to cut ties with him, knowing he has multiple minor league options, and knowing we don't got any time for nonsense in this bullpen. We simply don't, with right around just over 20 games or so to play this season, folks. So we see Brosban get out of that 6-inning jam beautifully with the 2 on there, less than 2 out. Danny Young then escapes his jam too. And for the first time, as I mentioned, since 1966, the Mets have 3 consecutive innings where they find themselves ending the inning with a huge double play ball. Beautiful work by Danny Young, who then came in that we saw there in the, Young in the 8th inning as well. We need Phil Maton to get the final out there for Danny Young. Maton isn't able to get the out as clean as he wants, but he finally gets it. A line out there to Francisco Lindor. Maton is absolutely juiced up. He's pissed, and I love seeing that emotion from Phil Maton. Phil Maton, who has posted just a little over a 1 ERA since arriving with the Mets from the Tampa Bay Rays this year, is yet the latest example of a David Stearns masterclass, low-risk, high-reward pickup that he made prior to the trade deadline this year. And speaking of trade deadline, everybody, outside of Javi Baez's stats, because we cannot denounce how great he was in the 2021 season for the Mets, a 300 average, right around a 900 OPS, stealing bags, electric defense. I know you might not like the thumbs down notion, but there was no denying that Javi turned things up a notch when he was with the Mets the second half in 2021. If we exclude that Javi Baez 2021 situation, there is no denying that Jesse Winker has been the most impactful and the best true offensive acquisition the Mets have acquired since Yoenis Cespedes back in 2015. And I would argue that this was a better acquisition than Javi Baez, because unlike Javi, who caused controversy as soon as he came here amongst the fans, it's been polar opposite with Jesse Winker, who grew up not necessarily a diehard Mets fan, but really appreciated Mets fans as a villain during his time with the Reds. Then there, what we saw with the Seattle Mariners, and then latest we saw against Adrian Hauser and ripping that bomb on 4th of July with the Washington Nationals, that ridiculous 11 a.m. game. Still don't know why they did 11 a.m. even for 4th of July. No one's awake. It just doesn't make sense. I digress. Jesse Winker, now officially a Met. So happy to be a Met. Has spoken glowingly of Mets fans and how much he appreciates being here. An absolute nuke of a grand slam that we saw there. Oppo, he is doing everything you want from a new Mets acquisition. A guy who looks like he's been here this entire time. And that is why I feel the way that I do, that this is the best move that we have seen on the offensive end for a playoff push for this Mets team. Overall, excluding Javi Baez's brilliance in a season where the Mets went nowhere in 2021, this was the best pickup in pretty much just under a decade. And that's crazy to say because the Mets haven't had a lot of playoff experience in between throughout that time, which goes directly in hand with why I'm saying this. But amazing stuff there by Mr. Jesse Winker. And before I get on to more on Jesse and this match where the Mets won this one beautifully by a final score of 8-3, let's address a couple comments here. Alvin with the $2 donation says, Wardy, time to move on from Alonso. Your thoughts? Let me put it this way. I've been consistent with this for a bit now. The Mets would like Pete Alonso back, but they want Pete Alonso back at his price. If you think the Mets are going to overpay for Pete Alonso, I got a bridge to sell you. It's not going to happen right now. Obviously, things can change from now up until the end of the month to see how he turns things on, heading into potential postseason play. That can impact things to a degree, but Alonso has sadly proven this year his inability to handle high-pressure, high-leverage situations. He has been the Mets' worst hitter in those respective situations for the most part this season, and it couldn't come at a worse time in a walk year as the Mets are pushing for postseason play on an absolute heater. You know it's telling when the Mets have been on the heater that they've been on, and while Alonso has had some huge home runs the past month, he deserves credit for that. He has not consistently been that guy with the runners in scoring position whatsoever this year for this Mets team. That continued in this 8-3 victory, where if you look at the box score, you're saying, oh, I love what we got from everybody, but if you watch the game, you understand the context, then you know that Pete was not seeing the ball well at all today, and this is yet the latest example as to why the Mets are 100% more than likely going to prioritize Juan Soto as the biggest name that they're going to look for this offseason. I will not be shocked if the Mets prioritize Juan Soto completely over Pete Alonso this offseason. They would like both. They would like Pete to return, obviously, but they have price points in mind. David Stearns, we know, is going to be very strategic about this, and you got to make sure that what you're investing is worthwhile. For Alonso, we love him, but is he a guy that'll be here beyond 2024? It is far from a guarantee, in my humble opinion. Dave, thank you so much for the $2 donation. He says, let's hear it for Dick Mountain. Literally cannot say enough amazing things about Dick Mountain. You guys know Rich Hill, the man who's, 44 years of age now, came out there in the 8th inning, helped out his former club there in the Mets. His third or fourth time now as a Boston Red Sox, funny enough, and he walked a couple runs in after we saw Kenley Jansen doing everything in his power to be a New York Met. Did you guys see Kenley Jansen earlier today? Pre-game was rocking the OMG shirt. All the guy needed to do was switch dugouts. He doesn't want to be on that godforsaken Boston Red Sox team that isn't cracking postseason play. Granted, the Mets aren't a lock to make it, but you obviously are going to pick the Mets between themselves and the Red Sox when looking at the current roster construction, right? And Kenley Jansen, oh my God, was he horrendous there in the 8th inning, and that would do wonders for this Mets team. And speaking about doing wonders, we're going to get to that in a second. Camp with the donation. I went to the game. I called Winker's Grand Slam. Camp, who called in our show last night, fantastic time, was at Citi Field actually for his first game this season and had his hat signed pregame by Francisco Lindor himself. Camp, an absolute beauty. I called the Lindor home run yesterday pregame, and Camp called the Winker home run Grand Slam today. Love to see that. Shout out to you, Camp. Happy to have you in here. As always, thank you guys so much for the donations. I appreciate every single one of you. We see Hey Jack, great member with a $5 donation, says Diaz consistently at 99 plus is so huge. Diaz may be back. Lindor is far more valuable than Ohtani. Yes, water is wet. The sky is blue. That is true in regards to Ohtani. And not that Ohtani is amazing, because we all know he is. But Ohtani is not the all-around talent that we're seeing this year, what Francisco Lindor is doing. This Mets team would be nowhere without Francisco Lindor this year versus the Dodgers. I guarantee would still be a playoff caliber team without Shohei Ohtani. That's the difference. The Mets don't even sniff playoffs. Don't even sniff playoffs if Lindor is not here. And this Mets team, led by their bullpen, was absolutely nails in this matchup, folks. And let's talk about the bullpen. Let's talk about where things really started to go wrong, because as we saw Danny Young get that huge inning-ending double play in the 7th inning, and Maton, beautiful work there. Then we get to the bottom of the 8th, and this is where the Mets tacked on with those endless runs, because Nimmo gets on with a walk. Vientos gets on with a single. Alonso gets on with a strikeout. Mind you, he doesn't get on with a strikeout. He just strikes out, snaps his bat across his knee. Simply put, if you're a baseball bat, don't be Pete Alonso's baseball bat on a day where he can't hit a lick, or it's going to get absolutely murdered. Simple as that. Speaking of the Mets here, they would continue to tack on runs as they would have a bases-loaded one-out situation after Jesse Winker gets on with a walk. Winker on base for another time today. We love ourselves some Jesse, baby. Then we see Tyrone Taylor come in and have a RBI walk. Mets first run scored of the inning via walk, wouldn't be the last. Right after, we would see Mr. Hill come in, that being, of course, there in Rich Hill, Dick Mountain himself. The young 43-44-year-old then walks in Jeff McNeil with an RBI walk. Francisco Alvarez with an RBI walk. Alvy, mind you, outside that walk, has hit safely in 3 of his past 4 at-bats or so. Great stuff from Alvarez lately. He's hitting up the middle. He's going opposite field. Do I want to see the power? Yes. But is he doing more of what at least the Mets hitting approach has been preaching as of late, whether you agree or disagree with it? Yes, he has been doing that. That is, in fact, true. Then we see Bader with an RBI sac fly. Bader and Tyrone Taylor both in the starting lineup today after them not being in the starting lineup yesterday. Bader, who has struggled mightily with his bat as of late. As Steve Gelbs said throughout the game today, he's been doing a lot of extra work that we've been seeing pre and post game, even working for an hour plus with the coaches after the fact to get his swing rate where he wants to be. Bader, a very level-headed swing to begin with, but a guy that we know can be a little Jekyll and Hyde. But I firmly believe Harrison Bader still has that lightning rod of a bottle type impact he's going to have with the Mets. I think it's going to come in some of the most important games against the Philadelphia Phillies. And the reason why I say that is Harrison Bader has been the Mets' unsung hero so much in the first half of the season when barely anyone else not named Francisco Lindor once he finally started to turn things on and JD Martinez. How many clutch hits has Harrison Bader had from the Mets with 2 outs late in the ball game this season? Plenty. And I think we're going to see more of that. I think the base running ability, as long as he's not being silly trying to leg a single into a double, and that great center field defense, Harrison Bader, I think we still have yet to see some of his better baseball this season. He's been on a slide as of late, but I have the utmost confidence that he's going to snap out of it. I really think it's going to be soon. He's taken some solid hacks now. It's just a matter of time. The same way it's a matter of time for the Mets to slot back in a wild card spot is it really feels inevitable with the way that they've been winning as consistently as they have. And it's in part thanks to great outings like Edwin Diaz that we saw there in the 9th inning. Because after allowing that leadoff batter to get on, Edwin shut down the door comfortably from there. This was a pissed off Edwin Diaz that wanted to get the job done quickly. And after walking Tristan Casas, who you can never be too upset about walking one of their better hitters there, you strike out Connor Juan, you get a quick pop out on Valdez, and then you strike out there and Romy Gonzalez, who, mind you, Edwin Diaz topped out on 100.8 miles per hour today, rounded to 101. Easily the hardest Edwin Diaz has thrown this season, folks. Jaw-dropping stuff from Edwin, a guy that looked like not all that long ago was going to be far from a reliable option in this Mets bullpen. Yes, is Edwin still a potential to get cooked before the season's end? We all know that we can see heartbreak happen in Mets land before the year is all said and done. But in the interim right now, Edwin Diaz, after giving up the bombs that he did to Jackson Merrill, to Corbin Carroll, he has locked the hell in since then, and high leverage situations and clear save situations and non-save situations, he's been thrown out there plenty as of late. He looks more comfortable than he ever has this season, and holy guacamole, could it not come at a better time. Dave, my great member and friend, thank you so much. Winker said Hawk-Tua. Yep, he Hawk-Tua'd on that pitch, baby. If you know, you know. Thank you so much for the donation. LFGM Dave, I hope you are doing fantastic, my friend. As a true Mets fan, I still have faith in the Polar Bear, who will win some big games for us. I hope you're right, because listen, Pete Alonso hasn't single-handedly won the Mets many games this year with the way that Francisco Lindor certainly has, but the season isn't done yet. The Mets still have an opportunity to get the best out of Pete Alonso when they need it. Right now, we're 76 wins on the season, right? To crack playoffs, the initial thought was 87. So that means the Mets pretty much need to go right around 500, not just below 500 the rest of the way. They should find themselves in that spot. The problem with every other team basically winning the wild card, it's going to probably take north of 90 wins at this rate. Can the Mets absolutely get there? Yes. All the Mets need is just right around a little above 500 here for the remainder month of September, and they are going to be looking good. The problem, though, is that these things aren't a certainty, and that is where a guy in Pete Alonso needs to come up and step the hell up for this Mets team. The Mets do find themselves on a slide yet again before the month ends, and they really do labor in one, if not both, those series against the Philadelphia Phillies, right? But they're still in the thick of it in the wild card. You need Pete Alonso to step up when you need him most, and the sad and the most unfortunate thing to say is I do not have confidence in Pete Alonso stepping up against the Atlanta Braves in Atlanta or against the Milwaukee Brewers in Milwaukee. I expect Pete to absolutely flounder in those situations like he has so much already this season. Can he prove us wrong? Can he prove me wrong? I truly hope so, because I love Pete Alonso. I have no ill will with him. I would like to see the Mets bring him back, but I also don't want to see him back on a drastic overpay because I don't believe he's deserving of said contract in that area that he's probably looking for with Scott Boras at the moment. But what I can tell you about Pete Alonso and this Mets team is that with Pete Alonso still having the most underwhelming year as a New York Metropolitan when evaluating runners in scoring position hitting, high leverage hitting, 2 out, runners in scoring position hitting, all the key hits you need from Alonso that you haven't gone this season, you thankfully have gone from Francisco Lindor. You thankfully have gone from Mark Vientos. You thankfully have gone to a degree from JD Martinez. As of late, Jesse Winker, Jose Iglesias, we cannot say enough amazing things about. Oh my God, literally The list goes on and on. The Mets have thankfully had enough weapons, have had enough heroics to really right the ship with Alonso's underwhelming play this year. And underwhelming is still underwhelming for a guy that's hitting over 30 home runs and has plenty of RBIs. We just want to see more from Pete, and he knows that more than anyone else, which is why it's been such a damn shame why the season hasn't went the way that Pete's hoped for or what us Mets fans have hoped for either. Miguel, postgame interview, let's see. What do you mean, so be it if you, let's see, if you put yourself in that position? I didn't see the postgame interview there with Tyler McGill. I'm sure Tyler's obviously hanging his head low. He's not happy about his outing today. How can you be? You're in a tough situation if you're Tyler McGill. Regardless on how much you guys love or hate him, we have to understand the human aspect of a guy that was just caught up, just trying to make the most of an opportunity. And unfortunately for Tyler, and this has just been the commonality for a while, and this is why I felt this way for a bit, I firmly do believe that if Tyler McGill is going to have success with the Mets, it's going to come in more of a reliever role than anything, because this has been now another year where Tyler McGill unfortunately has not been able to prove himself as a true starter in this rotation. Because let's be frank, when you look at McGill's stuff, he does have solid stuff. I don't hate McGill's arsenal at all. What I hate is when he walks guys early. What I hate is when the fastball is flat early, and when he doesn't have that velocity working in his favor, he's absolutely throwing meatballs. I hate when he's throwing that curveball right down the pipe. I'm not feeling comfortable about it, But Tyler McGill in a limited outing, in a limited role, that can make sense for this Mets team. And that's why we're going to expand on it a little bit later in the show here. No matter how much you guys are in favor or against that, we're going to have a little bit of a deep dive here before we wrap it up. And it will be cut out for my replay viewers, however. So this will be as a separate video segment up earlier tomorrow on the channel. But as we continue to break down this one, everybody, I want to thank every one of you, to my 1,400 concurrent viewers watching live right now. You guys are absolutely amazing. I appreciate the time that you guys are taking to chime in. If you haven't already, smash that like and subscribe on here on the YouTube channel and help us get to 27K subs. Highly implore you all to do so. If you guys don't know what we do, we cover the Mets every single night. We have coverage on the Mets every single day, pretty much every day throughout the entire calendar year. We have been doing this nonstop for 3.5 years now. So if you guys haven't joined the largest and fastest growing Mets community on YouTube and X, I don't know what else to tell you other than hop on in, join the wagon, baby, especially with the boys riding high. There's no better time to get involved and have your voice heard here on the Metsies and what's going on. Let's see here. There's no reason for Pete to bat every day in the 4-hole. Here's the thing. As much as I have not loved Alonso batting the 4-hole this year, I've loved what's worked so well around Pete Alonso in the 4-hole. I've loved what we have seen, the protection after him, what we have seen with either JDM or Winker, especially when JD's been the 6th spot as of late. It's been very effective for this Mets team. I've loved Mark Vientos when he has been the 2-hole. Nimmo has been very up and down with his offensive production this year, that we know. But still, I haven't hated the Mets lineup configurations all that much. And even when I have, the Mets have still won the ball games. Mehdi has consistently proved me wrong as of late. And because of that reason, that's why I'm not going to overly nitpick when I see, the Mets' first game of the series against the Reds this Friday, which I will let you all know right now. Do not be shocked if either I do a very late night live show for, if I do a pre-recorded video, because I will be out of town that day. Saturday we'll be out of town throughout the day. For all my Knicks fans out there, I will be at the roommates block party there. That's going to be hosted by Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Action Bronson's going to be there. I think John Stewart and a bunch of other personalities there at Central Park. Hope to see you guys there. I'll be in New York during the day there on Saturday, and then I still plan on covering the Mets game in either a video or a stream in the evening that day. So be on the lookout there for that Red series. It'll probably be the more hectic series I have outside of all the series as of late, but we're still going to cover them as we always do. Michael with a $5 donation. Thank you, my man. He says, it's almost odd that it's September and the Mets are still relevant, but I love it. Hope Baby Wardy as well. But Baby Wardy's great, sleeping like a baby. No pun intended, literally right now. Michael, hope you're doing fantastic, my friend. Very happy to have you in here. And let's go Mets, baby. It's been amazing to see them ride high the way that they have, and how much they've proven so many fans wrong this year has been my biggest takeaway more than anything. The Mets are showing you exactly why in a 162 you do not buy in too much to them early, nor do you buy in too much to them when things are going wrong, the same way that you shouldn't fully commit and say, okay, the Mets are 1,000% certain making playoffs right now. I have the utmost confidence that the Mets are going to make playoffs at this current rate, at least to slot in a wild card spot soon. Do I think that they will stay there? We'll find out. I have confidence the Mets will at least be in a wild card spot, even if it's only for 24 hours before the season's end. But there's obvious reasons to feel that way, and valid reasons. I'm not going to go out here and guarantee that the Mets are going to make playoffs and have a deep run. But what I can guarantee you is that, yeah, we're probably going to see them slot back in there sooner than later. But will they be able to stay put, be able to stay in that place. That's going to be the key thing. Is this going to be a big seesaw going in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out? Or are we going to get some consistency, some structure? And like with the Diamondbacks, and for the most part, even with their losing ways over the past number of weeks up until they've turned it on as of late, the Braves, the Diamondbacks, the Padres, these teams have kind of comfortably been in this wild card spot for the past number of weeks now. That needs to change. I firmly believe that'll change. Let's just see how long it stays that way once we finally get there. And once we go bananas, when we inevitably have Mets finally back in a playoff spot, hopefully it begins as soon as what we have there on Friday. But everybody, let's continue to break down more on this Metropolitan victory and this matchup. But before I do that, let's hear a quick word from our amazing sponsor, one you all know very well on the channel, our awesome friends at Yes, BetUS.
BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook and casino. Live betting and racebook. We're celebrating 30 years with a historic offer. A 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. Plus 10% gambler's insurance. Get started today. BetUS, where the game begins.
Shout out to BetUS, everybody, for all your sports betting needs. Again, don't worry, folks. We're going to be back at it with another 2-leg parlay for you for Friday's matchup. Given the fact that the Mets don't play tomorrow, I'm not going to bother with any picks there. So all I'm going to tell you is, if you guys enjoy sports betting, if you want to get in on some of the best odds, most consistent, updated odds as well, for money line, spread, single, you're going to do single leg, you're going to do multiple leg parlays, however you want to go about your sports betting needs, make sure to check it out with our awesome friends by clicking that link down below the description. That way you too get 125% bonus on not your first, not your second, but your first 3 deposits up to $2,000 for all your sports betting needs at BetUS. Now let's transition into talking a bit more here, not on Tyler McGill. Let's take a step back. Let's talk a bit here on the offense, because that's what I want to highlight here, because this Mets offense tonight, while it wasn't anything overwhelming, they did what they needed to do. They got their walks, they handled their at-bats well, and this Mets team going toe-to-toe against the Red Sox were out hit by Boston 9-7, and Boston had a little bit worse luck because they had an expected batting average 299, but the Mets had an expected batting average of 294, so they were putting the ball in play at a solid rate, and they weren't horrendous with runners in scoring position, thanks in large part to that ridiculous 8th inning where they walked everyone and their mother for the Mets. But Lindor on the day, as we see there, another multi-hit game for Francisco, Mr. MVP Lindor. A double, mind you, that was, I believe, his 38th double of the season, is now up to 69, nice, if you know, RBIs on the, not RBIs rather, but extra base hits on the season. He's already at right around 100 runs scored. I believe he's one shy. I think he's at 99 runs scored now. I think he's one shy of 100. The RBIs continue to go up, baby. We love that as well. I think he's got at least 84 now on the season, and a 274 average at 844 OPS. Yeah, that's our MVP candidate right there. Brandon Nimmo 1 for 2 with 2 runs scored and 2 walks today. A 230 average of 745 OPS. Mark Vientos with a nice 2-hit day today, including a run scored at 284 average, 883 OPS. Jose Iglesias with a run scored as a late defense replacement there for Vientos. A 310 average of 795 OPS. Pete, I don't know what I was going to say. I think I was going to say peanut butter, actually. What are we doing here? Not peanut butter Alonso. I was going to say polar bear Alonso. Pete here, 0 for 4 today with 3 strikeouts. Bad day, 240 average, 792 OPS. Jesse Winker, Mr. Winky himself with a huge grand salami. A 2-run scored as well. A 268 average, of 798 OPS. Tyrone Taylor 0 for 3 with a run scored and an RBI thanks to the walk and a pair of strikeouts. A 237 average of 675 OPS. Jeb McNeil 0 for 3, a 239 average of 692 OPS. Francisco Eltro Alvarez 1 for 3 with an RBI. A 235 average of 666 OPS. And Harrison Bader 0 for 3 with an RBI as well, thanks to the sac fly in the 8th, a 244 average of 667 OPS. The Mets bullpen, though, was that big standout, but on the offensive end, just want to reiterate for this Mets team that even while they haven't had, tremendous consistency with their bats, there's been some holes. We have definitely seen the struggles the Mets have had on the offensive end, even when they have been winning as of late, but it's only mattered so much because they still managed to clutch up in situations where they know they need to. Priest, I love you. I'm not ignoring you. Please know that. Trolls on a plane, don't know. I'm not ignoring you, brother. I don't know how to be happy. Priest on a plane doesn't know what to do with his hands when the guy in Francisco Lindor that he ragged down more than anyone on the planet this year is now turning out an MVP caliber season. He doesn't know what to do. As a very confused Mets fan that isn't used to this, doesn't know what it's like. When does this dude breathe? Guys, I've been talking rapid fire for literally 4.5 years straight, because I did hockey content for at least a year before getting involved in the baseball space. So for anyone wondering, Wardy, why do you talk as fast as you do? It's simply because I'm so excited to break down what we have to break down 9 out of 10 times normally. And secondly, I want to do it in a fairly short period of time, and I have a lot to say, and I'm just so used to rapid firing. Like, if you ask me on a rip how to answer, I'm going to give you a nice, thorough, probably a run-on sentence, to say the least, but love talking fast because I'm just used to it. I know not everyone loves it and enjoys it. I apologize. That won't be changing, however, because that's a part of me, and that's just the way that I like to go about things, because it's a very easy way for me to go about my content this way. Dave, how are you? Hi, Wardy. Great game, great win. Mets did what they need to do to sweep the series. Let's keep this great energy against the Reds on Friday. Excellent game by Lindor tonight. 2 big hits. 2 big hits indeed, my man. 2 big hits indeed. Wardy needs to get a beer with Priest. Literally, it needs to happen. Hopefully it happens before the end of the season. I will be at Citi Field before the end of the season. I promise you guys. I really hope to see you all there. Citi Field is rocking, and last time I was there was kind of not when the hype was what it was right now. Citi Field is absolutely bonkers, bigger than it ever has been this season. I need to be there because that has to be an adrenaline hit like no tomorrow as soon as I step in. I'm a long-suffering Mets fan, and you think I'm a troll. He's a long-suffering Mets fan. No, I get it. We get it, Priest. We do. The same way that we get the Mets, at least hitting-wise, did what they need to do. Nice, big win, big series victory. But now let's get into the pitching, because Tyler McGill was hitting his pitches. We know that. I'm not gonna go on a tangent here on Tyler and his outing today. I will just briefly tell you that McGill had the four-seam fastball, that he topped out 97, sat 95 today, 55% of the arsenal. Cutter, 21%. Topped out 93, sat 90. Curveball, 12%. Topped out 81, sat 79, 80. Slider, 9%. Topped out 85, sat 85. Splitter, 3%. Topped out 85, sat around 85. Just didn't get the swing and miss that you're looking for with Tyler McGill today. And even though the velo topped out at 97, just wasn't what you were looking for with the four-seam. And those breaking pitches, he just left a bit too much over the plate today for McGill in this outing. Alex Young did his job. Awesome sinker, changeup, curveball mix. Oscar Brosman with the changeup that was absolutely disgusting. Was up by 2 miles per hour today. Same with the cutter. Changeup sat 92 tonight when it usually sits 90 on the season. Yeah, imagine a 90 mile per hour changeup coming your way when you have your four-seam fastball that was touching 97 today, when it can easily hit 98 and even to sometimes 99. Sinker sitting 97 as topping 97, sitting 96 as well. Cutter 91 or 92 and sat right around 90 there. That four-seam mix was brilliant for Oscar Brosman today, who had one of his best outings for the Mets yet since being acquired from the Miami Marlins. And then we have the soft-tossing Danny Young, not Alex Young, who Alex is going to throw you the sinker, changeup, curveball. Danny's going to give you the sinker, yes, but he's going to throw that sweeper big time, especially lefty-lefty, and do some huge swing and miss that we saw there. A huge double play ball to end the 7th inning. Danny Young with a brilliant 1.1 inning of work, just like Oscar Brosman. And Phil Maton threw everything at you. You got the curveball, the cutter, the sweeper, and the sinker. Curveball there looked very strong as well. And Maton, even though that he had himself a bigger jam that he wanted to be in there in that inning, he got out of it unscathed, and that's the most important thing, to handle those high leverage situations. Edwin Diaz, what can we say? Topped out basically 101 on the gun today. Pretty damn good. The velocity was up by over a mile per hour. Sat 98.5 on the velo today when he usually sits 97 this season, just for some context. And the slider did touch 90 miles per hour, and it sat right around 90 on the outing as well. It was just a smidge up from his season average this year, but all in all, a tremendous effort by this Mets bullpen. That is what is without question going to be my biggest takeaway from this victory. Yes, the Jesse Winker Grand Slam was great. Yes, all those things were, but the biggest takeaway far and away for me has to be the Mets' ability to get these quality outs, these huge double plays from these 5 relievers, and having that off day tomorrow makes it that much sweeter, knowing they're still going to have some rest and not have to work back-to-back days. My guy, Wardy, Mets won this game with those double plays. They got 100% rich, 1,000%, my man. Hope you're doing fantastic. And as we go up here in the show, everybody, Winker Rulson says, Carl, I tend to agree with you, my man. I really do. Nadine, great member. How are you? Thank you so much for being in here. D-Mac, great member. Ryan, great member. How are you? Frank Sessa with a $2 hollow over earlier. Thank you, my man. Great member. Let's go Mets, baby. You said it, boss. We see also Michael with the donation earlier. Thank you so much for that, even though I alluded to it already. Appreciate you guys chiming in live on a replay, folks. As we now get back to this main slide here, I have everything set up the way that I want to. Folks, we are now going to transition into breaking down our key takeaway, not key takeaways, But the big Mets updates having everything to do with their assistant GM situation. Some big news came out earlier today that we're going to break down. We're going to get into the latest on not only the Mets with their decision on Paul Blackburn, but Tyler McGill, Huascar Brazaban, Kodai Senga. Some very exciting news on Kodai, which is my biggest takeaway out of these big Mets updates, and a farm report for you as Drew Gilbert continues to tear the cover off the baseball. So we're going to break that all down now for my live viewers, to you 1,400 watching live here on Twitter X and on YouTube. Continue on with the live show. And to all my replay viewers, this is where I'll be cutting things off. So let me know your biggest takeaway in the comments down below from this huge series sweep against the Boston Red Sox by a final score of 8-3. And my big question for you, as you guys are going to end up leaving this one, is the following. What do you expect from the Mets as they will kick off their 3-game stand against the Reds this weekend? More work that needs to be done. We aren't in a playoff spot yet. Get in there, and then let's continue to get on a roll. 7 straight victories, 2 straight series sweeps, a season high this year, 12 wins above not above replacement, 12 wins above 500. Huge news for the Metsies. Let's continue to roll, baby. Let's go Mets live viewers. Let's continue on with our live show. To my replay viewers, this is where we're going to end it. Peace out, folks.